everybody. This is Ann Moore, and I am with you this month. We are still working on the summer Elevate box, and I, of course, have Ralph and Bartholomew and Penelope. And so today we're going to add another character to this little series that I'm working on. We're going to add a dragonfly, and we named her Debbie Dragonfly. And we're spelling it DEBI, just so to make it kind of simple. So anyway, I am going to bring you around to my sewing machine and the stuff that I have laid out to talk to you about. So I'll give you a second to kind of look over what we're doing, and then I will move you around. So hang on just a moment while I do all of that. But at least I gave you a little pretty couple of blocks to look at while we move around. Now, remember, my studio looks like a tornado has been through it, so I will try to kind of keep you from seeing all of that. Oops, kind of, sort of keep you from seeing all of that. All right, let's bring this down a little bit, back this up, and put this in here. Whoops. Oops, I may have lost you. Hang on. Oh, here we are. Okay. I think it has to go this way or it will be upside down. So give me a minute to get that in there. You know, we're amateurs at all of this, so you have to kind of just bear with us. We can sew really good, but technology, yeah, it's not my strong point.
Hey, Ann, you might try turning your phone sideways real good again because it's full vertical right now.
Huh. Okay. Let's try that.
Yeah, real quick.
Okay.
There
How's
it
that?
is. Perfect. Perfect.
See, I told you guys, we're not pros at this, but I know my way around a sewing machine really well, but not necessarily technology. Okay, I told you about Debbie Dragonfly, and yesterday I kind of worked on her a little bit. She came to me night before last when I woke up really early in the morning and couldn't go back to sleep, and I thought, okay, there's got to be something else I can make with this set of templates that's in the Elevate box. And I came up with this really cute dragonfly. So we're going to work on that today. And also, I have pulled a couple of, well, not a couple, but one of the designs from the embroidery. And I've got a little bit of that to show y'all also. And we're going to be adding a couple of things around that. And then everybody asked me, how do you do your stippling? I'm going to show you that. But if you are not good at stippling, I just want to let you know, Sew Steady has a set of templates. They're called Winding Way. And they're large, medium, small, and I think maybe extra small. There's 4 or 5 sizes in the package. So you can get down pretty small with your stippling. But what I'm going to show you today is just kind of my free motion stippling. So we'll move that out of the way. Y'all know about the Temple fuse that we have. It is, in my opinion, the best fusible we have on the market. I have friends who contact me and ask me to bring them 2 or 3 rolls at a time. They do a lot of raw edge applique, and they really love this product. And I love it too because whenever I'm putting my blocks you saw just a few minutes ago, I use that fusible to put it all together, and then I have a nice good raw edge that doesn't ravel hardly at all. Here are the templates that we are using today, and I just wanted to kind of remind you, these come in your Elevate box, and if you order the one that has the embroidery, you get this also. So the embroidery you're going to be seeing today is actually coming from the Summer Elevate box. So we will move these out of the way. I will be using those throughout the day or throughout the hour. These split up into like 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ways that you can use these templates. So I just wanted you to point that out to you. I love that they are putting these together and putting them out to you in kits. So much fun. Now, everybody asks me, "Oh, tell us about the fabric that you are using as that you're revealing." So I just brought it over here so you could kind of get a good look at it. We'll do that first. It's about 3 or 4 years old. You might can still find it out on the market. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you what it is. It is 100 years, created by Allison Glass for Andover Fabrics. Came out in 2020. The pattern is 9698, and it's called Art Theory Whole Cloth, and it's at Andover Fabrics. Like I said, it's about came out in 2020, so it's a few years old. I did run across it at a shop that's a few miles from me. It's in a place called Cold Spring, Texas. The shop is called Lala's. And I bet if you look her up online and call her, I bet you could make a deal with her and order some of it. I know that's something you guys always ask is, where can I get this? So we'll move that out of the way. Was just fun, and just a really fun colorful fabric. And here it is. Here's how I layer all of my material. This was actually done on my embroidery machine, and let me see if I can bring it up a little bit higher so you can see it a little better. This one is, I don't know, that looks like it's about 8 inches wide from point to point. I don't have a ruler in front of me that I can measure, but I just thought this is absolutely gorgeous. And so here is Debbie Dragonfly, and we're going to be making her today. And I have it fixed. I'm layered. So let me bring it down here. I'm layered. So I'm going to cut away her wings and kind of let you see what she would look like with her wings colorful. So we'll work on that today. And I may throw in an extra flower or two if we have time. And because that's something that most of you probably all know. Now, when I designed this yesterday, I'm going with 14 by 16-inch blocks. So I thought, okay, I've got this right in the center, and I really want it to be the focal point, but I want to bring in some of the cutaway, the reverse applique, the temple work that we do. So what could I do? Okay, I could cut out all of these if I want to. There's 16 of them. Not really sure if I want to do that or not. It just depends on if I catch myself in a really good day and want to do a lot of cutout. Also, I have the little flowers that were made by this little guy right here. So I have those that I'm sure I will cut those out. And then, of course, in between, I'm going to finish out with stippling. So we'll move that out of the way for now. I also want to split some of my blocks. Let me see if I can raise this up a little bit. I want to split some of my blocks into two pieces, but I don't want to waste a whole lot of fabric. So here I have my layering again. Here is my fusible, my Temple fuse. Here's my top. Here is that little design again, and I think in the book it's called CD. I'm going to bring this over and just kind of show y'all what is in this embroidery package. You should be able to see this pretty well. Those are the different designs that come in the embroidery package that comes if you get the embroidery. And then it breaks it down on page by page. It breaks it down into all of the designs, and it tells you it goes from 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 all the way up to 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. Now, some of your newer machines were going to have those huge embroidery hoops where you could actually do an 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. I don't have a machine that will do something quite that big, but that's okay. I can make do with what I have, and I really enjoy this. And so here, this is just the book, the lookbook that comes with it, and it's called Churn Dash. Like I said, this is in the Elevate box, so I think you're really going to enjoy that. I do. And it's fun. Embroidery is kind of mesmerizing. I just love to sit there and kind of watch it work. We're going to put a dragonfly over here. And then this is a big dragonfly that I did a couple of days ago. And I thought, I like it, but I'm not going to do another great big one because Debbie's huge on this particular one. So here we go. I will have this over at my machine in just a moment. This is something else we're going to work on if we have time. This is another design from that embroidery package. And I get asked, like I said, all the time, how do you do your stippling? So we're going to stipple in this area, but I want to separate my stippling from my ruler work or not ruler work, but my embroidery work that's already in here. And how I'm going to do that is I'm using gold thread. So I'm going to make an outline around this. And the reason I'm going to do that is because typically when I'm stippling in a block, like you saw the ones on the wall a few minutes ago, I switch to a thread that is the same color as my fabric because I want my stippling to kind of be in the background and I don't want it to be the first thing that you notice. In this particular design, I don't mind if it's the first thing that you notice, but if I stippled right up to this design with that gold thread, it's going to all just blend into one big happy design. And that might look really cute, but I thought I really want the focus point to be these two designs that I have in here right now. And I probably will do a few of these to go into that quilt that I'm working on, the one you saw on the wall. And my goal is we'll work on blocks in September and October, probably November and December. November we'll work on some more blocks again, but December I want to focus on putting that quilt together. And I'm going to use the quilt as you go method. So our focus will be on putting those blocks together and kind of coming up with some finishing ideas. So let's get started. I'm going to move my camera over a little bit so that we can sew. Now I've turned off the light on my machine so that you have I think a little bit better look at it. Let's see if I can move this over. If I need to turn the light back on, I think Stacy can let me know. I'm trying to just get it adjusted so that it's right there where you can see everything. Okay, I think that will work pretty well. Now, when I made Debbie Dragonfly, let me find my templates. They're around here somewhere. Oh, I heard them. Hang on. Here they are. Okay. I used, for the big dragonfly, I used this little guy for the wing. Let's move it over here where you can see it easily. For the one I'm going to make now, I like the smaller version of the dragonfly, so I am going to use it. And I used this little oval right here for its body. And then I just used a curve off of one of the templates. And I think I used this one for the body. And I know you saw probably I worked on that body several times before I really got it to one that I like. And I noticed when I was looking at pictures of dragonflies, most of their bodies kind of curve and they come down to a point. They're not like a butterfly that has kind of a bigger body. They come down to a point and they curve ever so slightly. So that's what we're going to work on. And of course, we have the antenna, which is right here. And I'm going to use this same antenna that is on that template. I really like it, and it just works fairly well. So let's get started. I'll move these templates all out of the way and move everything over. Now we are working on a 14 by 16 area. So I have the luxury of being able to turn this template, I'm sorry, not this template, this fabric any way I want to. Let me get that out of the way. There we go. And I apologize in advance. I'm probably going to bump the camera several times because it is just right here where my hands are and right here at my face. So we'll do our best not to, but hey, it happens. If you have trouble, I've got plenty of stable tape on my template, but I still like to wear gloves because I've noticed I'll still have a little bit of not really slippage, but it just helps me grip my templates much better if I have uh, gloves on. And my gloves, and there are there's lots of gloves out there. Just find what you like. Go to your local fabric store and check with them to see what they have. These have these little rubber grippers on them, and a lot of them, this is more of a solid rubber gripper. I'll get it in a minute. Anyway, they just kind of help hold your fabric and help everything. My hands have a tendency to kind of dry out a little bit whenever I'm quilting. So this just kind of helps me hold everything in place. Now again, I want that little bitty oval that is on our template. So let me see. I know I have it threaded because I've already checked my. Do we need a little bit of light on that? It looks kind of like it's not wanting to focus real well. Well, there it goes. It's wanting to focus on my hand. Okay, let me turn a light on my machine. Give you a little bit of light. There. I think that will be better. Now I am using I've got my ruler foot on. I have my feed dogs dropped. I have my Sew Steady table in place so that I have a good flat working surface. I also have a grid glider on here. I leave my grid glider on full time because I use it when I'm piecing also. So that's the beauty of that. It's got a nice big opening so that I can have my feed dogs raised or lowered, whichever happens to be my need at that time. My On my particular machine, this happens to be a Bernina, and somebody told me if you go over to the quilting symbol, and I'm going to see if I can pull this over there where you can see it. You might can. See this little guy that's highlighted right there? Right there? I touched that and it brings me to a screen and I've got 13, 24, 25, 13, 26. If I put that on 13, 26, I really get a good, smooth, I like the stitching way better on that particular stitch idea, whatever you call it. Anyway, it automatically brings me down to 4.0 for my tension, and that is just perfect for what I want to do. So we are ready to go. I'm going to drop my ruler foot in the center of that opening. Always, that's very important that you drop it in the center and not close to the edge because you don't want to catch the edge of your template. You could possibly break it if your machine comes down really hard. Now let me pull up my bobbin thread. Here we go. And I want to put my needle right back down where that bobbin thread comes up, right there. I want to drop it again, but I'm going to just bring it back to the center because I don't want to drop it on that edge. All right, and we're ready to start quilting. I've got it on medium speed. And as long as I keep a really good medium speed, I get a pretty consistent stitch. Now, I stitched around twice. We call that traveling. And I did that because I want a good solid line for Debbie Dragonfly's body. Okay, cut those and get them out of the way. Don't need them anymore. And I'm not cutting threads because there's no need. There's just I've gone around there twice, so why would I need to bury it? Now, if I'm doing a show quilt, yes, I would bury it. Now, I'm going to bring this around to the front. Sorry about that. So that we can focus on Debbie's antenna. You notice I stopped and started at the very top, so that way I can put her antenna out here. And I'm not really, you could draw this out. You could put lines of exactly where you want her antenna to go. But if you watch a dragonfly in flight, their little antenna are just kind of moving around wherever they need them to be. So that's what we're doing with little Miss Debbie Dragonfly. There's her first antenna. Let's flip this over and we'll get her second antenna in. See if I can put this under here. There we go. Had to roll up my fabric a little bit. All right, and I don't want her to have really long antenna because she's a little guy. So, but that's okay. Even if she does have long antenna, it would be all right. Okay, so she now has antenna. Now we're going to move down and we're going to make her body. Remember, we're doing the smaller, so the smaller of the petal. This is the Spinifex number 7, and it is the 3-inch one. So, which means that if I were to come from point to point across, she would be a 3-inch petal. But she's going to be a dragonfly wing instead. So here we go. Now, I could make the other wing totally separate, but I think they look cuter if they're kind of joined. So I'm going to come down a little bit and come across. And I came out maybe an inch. I'm going to bring this down, and I can use my spacing gauge to make sure that I'm touching back over here where I want to be. So yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with it. So let's bring that back a little bit. Now, when you make this design on your block, it's going to become your dragonfly. So if you want the wings spread out a little more, closer together, one big, one small, however you want it, it's yours to play with. There aren't any quilting police. I'm not going to come out and say, hey, you did this wrong or anything like that. I want you to enjoy it and just play with it and have fun. Here goes the other set of wings. Remember, I need to come back down to about an inch and then drop this back down. And I want to be able to touch the template to the back of the ruler foot. Okay, let's bring this up and look, I have dragonfly wings. Now I need to come down about 1/4 of an inch to start her body because it's a little bit tricky to do, not bad, but I don't want her body to be very long. So I want to use my spacing gauge and figure out where I want to stop. I want her body to stop about right there. I think that's going to be a good size body for her. About right there. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to stop when I get to my drawn line. Let's look at that and see if we think that's a good length. Yeah, I think that will be okay. So let's bring this around and we're going to do the other side of her little body. And I want it to hit about right there. So you saw what I did. I moved my template over so that that's going to hit about right there. So she's going to have kind of a little bit of a skinny looking body, but that's what we want. It's what dragonflies have. There we go. And now on their little bodies, they have little, I don't know what you would call them, little connections, little links. So I'm going to do those and I'm just going to free motion those. You can actually use your template if you want to, but you don't have to. Now look at her little, well, let me pull this away and do a little bit of dusting and you'll see her little body. I did a few little extra stitches. I consider those a locking stitch. So I'm going to bring up my bobbin thread and cut it. Oh, there it is. Perfect. And there is Debbie Dragonfly. Let me see if I can get some of the white. Yeah. Just brush some of this of the lines away so you can see her a little better. But I think she turned out pretty cute. If you want to, you can put eyes on her. I chose not to because they would kind of come over here somewhere and they would be cute. But I thought, I don't know if I really want to do that. Now, I'm going to pick this back up and show it to you. This is my whole block that I'm going to cut it in two. So I may come back along in this particular block and do some flowers, some little flowers, just here and there, just scattered out. Don't know yet. Probably will, though. You know me. I'm going to quilt it to death. So there we are. Now I'm going to do a couple of flowers on the other piece that we had working on. Let me grab that. So I just kind of want y'all to see how that's done. I know most of you probably that are on here have been with us, since the beginning. So a lot of you already know how we do all of this. But we may have some new people that don't. So I want to bring y'all in on what we do. Now this is the template that I'm going to use. Again, that's the Spinifex number 7, and this is the 3-inch one. I drew out with using like a crosshair ruler. I used a 6-point crosshair ruler because I didn't want my blooms, my blossoms, my petals to be quite so close together. So 6 worked out really, really well. We have the 6-point crosshair rulers, and let me tell you a little secret that I do a lot of times. We have a set of templates that are at crosshairs. They're small. They're probably about 4 inches, and there's an 8-point, a 6-point, and a 5-point in that package. And that's really handy to have. If you don't want to have all of those in the larger sizes. Now, I do keep the 8-point crosshair in like the 12.5 inch, and I've got the 6-point in like an 8.5 inch. I don't have it in the 6. I mean, in the 12-inch. But if I'm needing a 5, which is rare, I have that one available if I want to, and it's in that little package. So you might want to think about something like that. Remember, I'm on a medium speed. I found if I just floorboard it, I don't get as pretty a stitch as I do if I'm on medium. If you go too slow, though, you're going to end up with stitching that they're too big. So, but you can see I get a really good, nope, you can't see. Hold on, I will move this over so that you can see. Sorry about that. I forgot. There we go. And it keeps wanting to focus on my glove. I mean, I'll try to keep my hand moved away as best I can. But I have two petals already made, and I apologize for not having the camera adjusted. Oh, and I didn't finish that one. I was cutting, and so I just kind of stopped, didn't I? Okay, let's go back up where we're supposed to. There we go. Now I'll keep moving and adjusting. This is petal number 3. This will be petal number 4. And I just felt like on this particular one, we talked about it earlier, I think the smaller flowers around it will look better because I've got this big design in the middle that I did with the embroidery, and I don't want to detract from it. I did put a Debbie Dragon on it, and I will show that to you in just a moment. There's my 4 little locking stitches. Remember, I came in and out of this opening 12 different times because I'm starting and stopping on the blooms, the petals. So I don't feel like I really need to hide those stitches to lock them in, to bury them. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to lift this up and show you. Here's Debbie Dragon. She's in a corner. She is approaching that big design in the middle, along with the flowers that are spinning kind of around it. So now we're going to move over to the stippling that I talked to you about.
There was a question that came in, Anne, so I wanted to
Oh,
make sure we
great.
addressed it.
Sure.
Someone was questioning when you talk about medium speed, how
Uh-huh.
do you accomplish that? Is that a foot pedal thing or a machine thing?
It can be both. Here, let me back this off a little bit. Here's my speed right here. See, I have it on in the center. So that gives me a medium speed. Some machines don't have a governor, so you kind of have to just gauge that with your foot pedal. And I know some people, I've had them come to class and they don't even have their foot pedal with them. They rely solely on the little button right here, the start and stop button. I don't recommend that when you're doing ruler work, simply because you've got your hands on your template and you're holding it in place. You've got to move your hand or reach up here and press that button. I would really rather let that control go to my foot instead of to my hands. But it's a personal preference. Try it both ways. See which one works better for you. Thank you for bringing up the questions. Do we have any other questions? That's a great one. Isn't this a gorgeous design? This is,
I love that. When I first
I
saw that
do.
design, Anne, I thought you had done the freestanding lace.
I know. I know. Wouldn't
And I
that be
even
cool?
texted you about it. I was like, is that freestanding lace?
It is not, but you know what? Talk to our the lady that does all of our what's it called, digitizing. That
Yeah,
would make gorgeous freestanding lace.
wouldn't it?
And I'll tell y'all a little secret, that something that I kind of play with. You know those bounce dryer sheets that you have? Have you ever embroidered on one of those? You can cut it away right up to the edges, and it looks almost like freestanding lace.
Ooh, I'm
pretty
going to take
cool.
some to work today and give it to our digitizer.
Yeah, give it a try because I've done that several times when I want it to be, yeah, your bounce dryer sheets are going to have a little bit of white to them, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. And they make really cool stuff. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to put a boundary around this design because I want it to be, I want attention brought to it. I don't want my stippling to come right up to it. And like I told y'all, if you're not comfortable with stitching, with stippling, we have the Winding Way templates that are amazing. And you can use that instead of stippling. But I get asked all the time, how do you do that? How do you do that? So I'm just going to show you. I thought, why not? I have y'all for a whole hour. Now, I don't have my ruler here my, what is it? My no, my arc. I don't have my arc with me, which is my 12-inch arc. I don't have it with me today. And that's typically what I would use if I wanted to make straight lines. But I have this little guy, and he's got a nice long straight line on him. So why not? I don't have to have exactly the same rule. I mean, look at Debbie Dragonfly. She came from a flower petal and an antenna off of a butterfly. So you don't have to have everything exact. Now, something I do need, I just saw this, so let me grab one of my, where did it go? I need a choco liner. Because I thought, you know what? I'm going to stitch out to these edges. But there again, I can still use this template. And I need to go through my center. So let's draw a little line out here. We don't need one there. We need one here. Hopefully I've got this in view where you can see it. Okay, that doesn't look centered. So let's try this. Let me bring it down. There we go. I'm going to need points on this so that I know, how far to stitch to. So let's do this one. There we go. See those? And then you're going to need to mark it on this end too. There we go. So those look pretty centered-ish. It doesn't matter to me if it's not exactly perfect, but to some people it might. So if you're still have a lot of perfectionist in you, well, get your 8-point crosshair ruler or your 6-point crosshair ruler, whichever, and measure it out exact. I don't know. Over the years, I'm not quite the perfectionist that I used to be because I had a teacher tell me one time, if you make a mistake, make it like 3 times and it becomes part of your design. And I thought, you know what? That kind of works. I like that. I like that thought process. All right, so here we go. And this is going to give me 1/4 of an inch away from my my design that I have in here. And that's all I really want. Just something to kind of get it away from the edges. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to stitch. Let's go ahead and cut these threads, get them out of our way. You don't need those anymore. Now, I'm just going to kind of go along the tops, and I probably should take one more stitch. There we go. And that's going to kind of get me right along those tops. And you can see I'm kind of touching them a little bit, but that's okay. And of course, it's not long enough to reach all the way down, so I gauged from the edges right here, which is fine. Turn this one around, and I'll show you in a moment. I'm getting a really nice box around these. Make sure when you're doing this that you don't run off of the end of your template. And I'll get down close so I can show you what I'm talking about. If I stitched off the edge, I probably would have a good bobble right there that I wouldn't want. So stop before you get to the edge. Okay, and I'm stopping. I've got a perfect little box around that, and I really like the way that looks. To me, that set those two designs off just so well. Now, I'm ready to start my stippling right after I get a drink of water. All right, when I stipple, I have a little mantra that I say. It's ease, like the letter E, N, like the letter N, E's and N's, and gingerbread men. So what I'm thinking of doing is, here's an E, and we're talking roughly an E, okay? It's not a perfect little E. And then this would be like an N. And then if I wanted to make a gingerbread man, there's a leg, there's another leg, there's an arm. And I'm going to turn this around. Here's an arm, here's a leg, here's a leg, here's an arm under here that I just finished. Now I can't put a head on him because I would close my design, and I don't want to do that. You also need to look at what you're doing and think, okay, how big do I want my stippling to be? On this one, I kind of want it small, so I'm keeping it pretty much. Now that one looks more like an amoeba or something like that. But if you focus on E's and N's and gingerbread men, or any little mantra that you can think of that will keep you focused and doing what what you want it to turn out looking like. See, there's a couple of gingerbread men legs. What I definitely don't want to do is make any of these look really, really long. If you do that, if you look at a picture of a river and how it goes in and out and around and crazy, if you make them really long, that's what it looks like, is a river. Okay, there's a couple of legs. There's an arm. Now let's go back into an N. We'll go back into an E. And it can be any little mantra. It doesn't have to be E's and N's and gingerbread men. You know, you could go 1, 2, 3, ABC. Whatever keeps you focused. And I probably just said that to you twice. Now, I want to go back in and fill this in. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to stitch all the way down, come across. There's my gingerbread man. Just a couple of little legs or an N, whatever you want to call it. And you end up on your borders having lots of gingerbread men legs, which is fine, but sometimes I'll go ahead and put a third leg in just so that I don't seem to have that. Pick up my speed a little bit because I have better and more even and smaller stitches when I do. I'm using probably an 80-20 needle. A top stitch is really good. Years ago, I was having trouble with a lot of shredding of threads, and my local fabric store said, try these needles, and she sent me home with a metallic needle. Yeah, I know all needles are metal, so they would be metallic. But this was a needle that you would use if you were using metallic thread. And I was using a 100 weight thread back then on a background, and it worked perfectly. Look at this. I'm very, very pleased with that. And I think it looks really good with the embroidery design that we have. And I filled that whole area in without going really big. So we'll keep going and we'll get a little bit more of it filled in. There are a lot of different designs that you can do. Stippling just happens to be one of my favorites, but you can do pebbles. You can do circles. You can get your circle. We have circle templates that are perfect. Years ago, when I was making my first circles on a quilt, I didn't have templates. They were a mess. I would put a circle in, had it drawn out perfectly, use probably a cup or something like that for my shape, but they were a mess. And I would put it in and I would rip it out. And then I would put it back in again and I would rip it out. Probably 3 or 4 times before I got a decent circle. And I had, I don't know, a dozen or more circles to go on that quilt. So you can imagine it took me a while. Well, the next time I wanted to make circles, I had run across So Steady and Westerly at the booth in Houston at the Quilt Festival, and I bought circles. And so on that quilt, I had perfect circles. So I was hooked. I was hooked before that, but I was really hooked after I made the circles. Stop every now and then and kind of assess your work and make sure that you're not getting too large. These are a tiny bit bigger than what these are over here, but I think maybe it's not going to be as noticeable unless if I had, it would be if I had gone really huge. See, I picked up my speed just to give it a little bit. And you don't want to go in, I wouldn't call them straight lines, but you don't want to, you want to have a bump out every now and then so that it kind of really looks like they just all, uh, they're not even. I don't want to go in rows, in other words. I will post the picture of both of, or all three. I have 2 blocks that are going to go into the quilt. I will post those on Westerly by me, and I will also post this once I have it finished and cut, and I may even go ahead and bind it. I kind of like it. What do you think? And there again, I'm going to get back kind of small. I'm going to work in this area. If I ever work myself into a corner, I will come outside this line right here and pick back up somewhere else. But I try to be careful and not work myself into a corner. And I try not to work in too big of an area. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me get away from it a little bit so that you can see. See this little channel going right here? I don't want a whole lot of those because if I do, there's that river that I was talking about that this would look like. So I want to keep it maybe like working like little 1 inch kind of areas at a time. And there's a gingerbread man right there. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm not boxing myself into a corner. So I went this way with it, this way, and caught into that little corner. And if I have a little jagged edge or a little point every now and then, that's not a big deal. I hope a lot of you have bought your summer Elevate box. I hope you're having fun with it. I am amazed and blown away at how much stuff is in that box to do. You talk about projects. Oh, wow. There are table runners. I think there's maybe a pillow. There's all kinds of things. And there's a few even add ons. I have the add on that's the butterflies. And so you can order the butterfly embroidery if you want to. And I think there may be one or two more. That would be a Stacy question as to what all there is.
There are some bonus classes that we've done that are highlighting some of the alternative designs that you see in the Churn Dash Embroidery collection if you got that.
Yes.
So the class
Yes.
kits come with a practice panel. And actually, one thing a lot of people don't know, I think, is that the class kits also come with one embroidery design. So if you're wanting to test the waters, but you're not sure if you're like really excited about embroidery, you could actually get a class kit for $15 and you can download one embroidery design. The one that you see right there that Anne is showing off, I believe it might even be that design that's in the class kit that we actually gave everyone in the box. So that's another thing. If you already got the box, you can download that embroidery design. That might be a little bit more dense though than
It is
the one
very
that's in the
dense.
class kit. Yeah.
It is called CD5 Full. And it is gorgeous. But I have done, let's see, I did this one, CD1. It's so pretty. I can just imagine it on a blocked quilt with blocks. And I've done the CD6, which is a corner. This is the CD full. I've done it. I just think it's cute as it can be. And then the CD5 full is what you've been seeing on the other work that I was doing today. They're they're amazing. They're beautiful and they're fun to watch. To do the work with. They're fun. I can remember when I first got an embroidery machine years ago. I would just sit mesmerized. And my husband, Andrew, was out in the studio the other day, and I had one of these designs going. And he just went over and sat down at my embroidery machine and just sat there watching it work. And I thought, how fun is that? I thought, don't come out here and think you're going to start quilting. I make a big enough mess by myself. I don't need somebody else out here making a big mess, too. But anyway, just fun stuff. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop this right here. I think you've got the idea, and I will actually come along and stitch this line out. I think it would be really pretty to do that, and then I'm going to finish it off. I just think it would look great. So, do we have any other questions or anything else we need to talk about, Stacy?
Oh, you know what? I think that there was one more question that came in. Um, well, I think we answered it. I think Noreen's question was if you have a machine that doesn't have the ruler work function, for lack of a better term, can you still use rulers? Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, I'm going to let you take it away on that though, Anne, and help them understand how you do it if it doesn't say ruler work.
Okay, and are you're asking? Okay, so a machine that does not have a ruler work function, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, you know how some machines
Yeah.
that they build these days actually have a button that says ruler work?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the particular machine that I'm using does not have a ruler work function, but that's easy. We've got, we have, what is it, 5 ruler feet, and we can fit any machine out there, including your featherweight. So we can accommodate that. And what I do is put it on a straight stitch, and you will adjust your foot up or down, whatever you need to. Now, this happens to be the ruler foot that comes with a Bernina. I'll raise that so you can kind of see it a little better. And I don't have any of them close by, but we have the ruler feet that will fit, and you just attach it, and you raise or lower your foot There's some adjustments that you do, and a lot of times if it's one of our feet, you manually adjust it with your wherever your foot is attached, which usually is over on this side, and you screw it in place. And then what I like to do for myself is, if I can slide my fingernails, let me get this where you can see it. It's going to be blurred because it's looking at the close up of my hand. But if I can just barely get my fingernail under there, I know that it's going to be low enough to the fabric. You want it low enough to the fabric that you don't hear a popping sound and your fabric is not jumping up and down as the needle is going in and out. If you have it too low, sometimes it will actually hang in your fabric and you won't be able to slide your fabric around. That just means you need to adjust it upward a little bit. And there again, I use that little fingernail rule because I always have my fingernails with me. You know, you can use a pair of scissors or anything like that, anything that will get you close enough. Now, this machine, whenever I lower it, if I just touch it, it's going to bring it on down. So there again, I can get my fingernail under there just fine. And this happens to be a hopping foot, so it's hopping up and down a little bit as it's moving. Not all machines do it that way. A lot of them do what we call a hover, where they just hover right over and glide right over the top of your fabric. But if you are having problems with it hanging up or anything like that, try the adjustment of your ruler foot just up or down a little bit. And that should take care of it right there. So I hope that answered that question. Stacy, can you think of any others we might need to address?
Let's see here. No, just a lot of comments about the love of the dragonfly design today. Someone else did make a comment. Some of my stitch regulated feet can only use ruler work on the front and the sides. That means that you can't go behind the foot, and that can be the case with like the Bernina stitch regulator, unless you get one of our solutions with the table.
True, true.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And
And
if you are using a ruler that won't fit around behind your machine like that, you might need to go to a low shank template. This one happens to be a high shank, so I can use high shank, low shank, or even a long arm ruler template. But if it's a true low shank machine, you don't have that much clearance back here, and so you would need a low shank template. But we have all three, so we can fix you up. So hopefully that answered that question. If you start hearing your needle kind of popping, it might be time to change your needle also, or if it's snagging your fabric. Um, I've heard people say, "Oh, I've never changed my needle." That's probably not a really good idea. You're going to get such a nicer stitch if you have a fresh needle in. And a needle usually lasts for about maybe 8 hours or 10 hours of really continuous stitching before you need to change it out. So keep a fresh supply around so that you don't have that problem. So,
excellent. Well, and I have to say, I always love having you come on and join because you just do gorgeous work.
well, thank
And
you.
I know one of the things that you always bring to the table is a little bit of free motion,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I think that is such an amazing way to combine with really any kind of design, whether it's embroidery or ruler work. Being able to kind of fill in and create kind of a more unique design. And so I know there were other people that really appreciated that you brought that in today. So thank you for doing that.
Well, you're welcome. I get asked
Yeah.
all the time. So I thought,
Yeah.
this would be a good lesson to show that.
You are our, I would coin you our free motion specialist. So I love it.
Well,
Well,
and the ruler work is guided free motion. So, they just go hand in hand.
yeah. Well, yeah, no, I agree. We call it the guided free motion or the free motion quilting with training wheels. So
Mhm.
someone just asked a great question. They said, "Where do we get these rulers?" So you
Good
get those
question.
rulers. I will post a link, but you can find those rulers on sewcity.com. Now we do have an option if you end up purchasing over $50, you can actually pick those up in a store near you and get free shipping. So we really encourage that. We do have some stores across the country that will have some of the rulers in stock, but I definitely encourage if you want to just go on and find those rulers. I'll post a link to the tools that were used today because they were all in our box, weren't they?
They are, everyone.
Yeah.
I wanted to
So
focus on that.
I love that. So all of the rulers that were used today were in our Sew Study box. And just so you know, you can still get those boxes. You have to go to our participating club stores. So give us a call if you are interested in still getting one of our summer boxes, because I'll tell you, like Ann said, the value of what you get in those boxes is incredible. You'll buy 2 rulers and you'll pay the same price that you would have paid if you got the whole box. So, so I definitely encourage that. But you can just give us a call, and I'll also give you our phone number over the audio right now, and then I'll share it in the details below. That if you call 1-800-837-3261, you'll be able to go ahead and give us a call, and we'll get you the information to find one of our club stores near you. There, you can go ahead and take advantage of getting one of those boxes still. And then I'm going to go ahead and post a link, and that link is going to take you to all of the tools that were inside of the box. So you can find the Spinifex 7, the Butterfly template. You can find those practice panels that we talked about. You can even find some of the bonus items that we talked about today right there in that link. So you'll be able to get everything you need right there.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So we really appreciate you joining us today. And we'll look forward to having you come back in another month, Anne, where you're going to
Yes,
be diving into the new box.
absolutely. Gonna
Yay.
be fun.
Well, you mentioned that you were going to be pulling everything together.
Yes.
And so my guess is that you might have some templates from this box and then some designs from the new box. And when you pull it all together at the end of the year.
Well, and that's my plan.
I
I'm
love it.
focusing on this box right now. I'll focus on the next box that comes out in September and work on designs from that because they're just so fun and you can make them all go together. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Well, that's really, really fun. And, I love seeing that you're doing some really unique designs with that butterfly template. It's just got so much going on in it that you have so many possibilities.
Yes, you do.
That's so great. Well, I will go ahead and share that link. I posted the link so you can learn more about the tools in the box. Again, you can go ahead and get free shipping if you choose a store near you, and then give us a call if you do want to go ahead and get one of those boxes. They say out of stock on our website because we are only selling through our club stores at this time. So we'll direct you to a club store where you can take advantage of that.
And Stacy, tell them where they can continue to view this video.
Yeah, so the link that you use today to access the video is still going to be good. So if you were watching on Facebook, then you can actually share this right there, right now to yourself. I always text myself links because then
Hmm.
I know, oh yeah, I texted it to myself and I can go back and find it later. And then the same goes for the YouTube. So whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you go back to and then if you can't find it because you can't figure out how to share that link with yourself right now, then you can also go to our Facebook Live. So if you go to Sew Steady on Facebook, and then you go to the drop down at the top, it'll have videos, and I would go into there, or you could go to events. Videos or events, and you'll be able to pull up past videos and past events and be able to access those videos there. And then the same goes for YouTube. If you go to Sew Steady's channel, you might want to like us on Sew Steady on YouTube while you're at it, and then it will be part of your kind of common list. But then you can go to our lives, and you'll scroll down a little bit because we have some that are scheduled, and you'll find the last video that we shared that was live right at the top of the recorded version. So those are a couple ways to be able to access the past videos. Thanks for
Perfect.
asking that, because we do get that question every now and then.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you again, Anne. We so appreciate you coming on, and all of you for joining us today. And we'll be back for more fun education next week, highlighting our fun tools in the box and even more stuff.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.